Eric McHugh, thank you so much for coming on Inner Edison podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ed. I'm really looking forward to be here, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you.
All right. So I researched you a little bit, and you're the president of Shop X Labs, and then you started what CGO, is that Chief Graphic
Growth.
Growth Officer? Yeah. All new to acronyms these days, I tell you.
Both titles don't really mean anything to me, in my opinion, but
Well,
they are there.
In my industry, when you're the president of a company, you don't even put on your title. You don't put titles on anything, because then everybody hounds you for stuff.
Oh, dude, it can get kind of annoying, to be honest. But it is what it is. It opens doors, so that's part of the reason.
So do podcasts.
Yes, they do, and here we are.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, with podcasts, you get to talk to so many people from different industries and other stuff to talk about, what they went through, because a lot of the stuff is building companies or building things are pretty much the same. I'm not saying exact. I'm just saying somewhat. There's some, and then there's some issues that we all run into, which is what I call failures, and we all have them, and we have to get through them. And that's what we talk about here on Inner Edison podcast. We talk about a little bit more, but I do want to know, everybody wants to know, hey, if you're not failing, you're not trying, you're not winning, that's you got to try, and you're going to fail most of the time. And that's why it's called Inner Edison and not, something else.
Yeah.
All right. So give me a little bit of background. How did you get into what you're doing right now?
Sure. Nice to meet everyone. My name's Eric, 30 years old, blessed to live in beautiful Southern California. Hobbies include chess, Muay Thai, reading, and pretty much anything under the sun, and meditation. And going off of chess and Muay Thai, those are both pretty much, you just kind of fail until you eventually get good. So you fail in both, you get punished, whether it be physically or mentally, you learn what you did, and then you don't get hit or don't lose the game again. In terms of work, I went to University of California, Irvine. Post-graduation, my first job was at Snap, helping optimize their ad algorithm, and then got a job as a corporate restructuring consultant. And at that point in time, that's when I was really going down my deep cryptocurrency rabbit hole. And the rent-seeking behavior of cryptocurrency didn't align with a bankruptcy consultant. And the reason was a company going under bankruptcy, they have a set amount of money that they're supposed to pay out creditors. There's a tiered system, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Tier 1 gets paid out first, then tier 2, then tier 4 gets the leftovers. All the normal people like me, you, the mom and pops, are usually in tier 4, so they get pennies on the dollar. So the consultancy firm, while they're chilling, they're smart, but they would get paid from a pool that was shrinking that I felt should go to the creditors. So I quit that job without a real plan. I knew at that point I wanted to work in cryptocurrency.
Hold on, you're going too fast. Back it up. All right. So you were you were dealing with something that had to do with bankruptcy, and what you're saying is, so for most companies who go bankrupt, there's nothing left, right?
Yeah. So there's not enough left, but there are, they have to sell assets to pay off your creditors and whoever that
assets is. Like, you mean parts of the company?
Yeah, it depends what kind of company, like whether it be property, whether it be like leftover stockpiles,
or just desks.
Yeah, or desks, really whatever they can get their hands on.
Right. And then after that, they go after the people who own the company.
Yeah, you would think so.
Huh?
I said you would think so. Usually they kind of escape.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna, it's about trying things and failing and not being totally destroyed from your trying, right?
Yeah. No, it's all about recovery and optimization. And I call it, instead of the term failure, I refer to it as anti-fragility. So anti-fragility is essentially whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. Mm-hmm. So every time you fail, I like to look at it as a learning opportunity. It's like, okay, I tried this thing. Okay, whatever, it didn't work. I know why it didn't work. Now I know one more thing not to try. Therefore, you're one more step closer to your goal. And eventually, if you keep that mindset, hopefully you keep that mindset for long enough, you don't give up, you'll eventually reach what you're trying to do.
All right. So after that, you didn't have a plan, you said, which is most of us when we don't like what we're doing. And what did you do next? What did you get into?
So I started going to cryptocurrency meetups, met the original ShopX team. And so ShopX was running since 2016, but we also launched a spin-off startup called CardRev or Pollenly. And that replaced affiliate codes for Shopify brands. And that was a great learning experience, and it no longer exists because it was a failure. But all the lessons we learned while running that company has been dumped back into ShopX Lab. So again, rising from the ashes type of thing. It's like we learned how to deal with e-commerce brands. We learned not to accept money from the wrong place. We learned how to build affiliate networks. So we learned a lot, and all of that's being applied right now with ShopX Labs, and further than that to dating as well.
All right. So what does exactly ShopX Labs do if people don't understand?
Yeah. So when you think of ShopX Labs, I want you to think of the Google or Apple Web3. Think of it. We're like a Web 2.5 company. So a way for Web 2 brands to download an app and then onboard into the Web3 ecosystem. Long term, we're going to have a series of products for different business needs, for different benefits for e-commerce brands. Right now,
go ahead, finish.
Right now, we have 2 products live. The first is ReserveX, and that's a NFT-powered loyalty program. So if you're a brand on Shopify, you can download an app and then launch your own NFT collection without any technical help, and then add e-commerce benefits to the NFTs of your customers. And our second product is SquadX, and that's the first ever blockchain-based ambassador program. So just like Twitter pays its creators in Ethereum, or just like Twitter pays its creators in USD from their ad revenue, we pay our community for helping our ecosystem grow from ReserveX revenue. Logic behind that is it's better to give than receive, and it creates an upward spiral for both companies and brands. So like as ShopX gets more and more brands using, they make more and more money. ShopX gets paid more and more. We give half of our revenue to our community. They're happy because they're getting paid. They're doing positive posts or spamming brand pages, thus creating more and more brands, thus creating more and more posts, and it's kind of like a win-win type of thing.
All right, 2 things I would talk about that you brought up: NFTs. Right. There was a huge push for that over the last couple of years. And then now you really haven't heard much.
Yep.
What's going on in that market?
Yeah. So in terms of NFTs, there was a huge push, and that was really just hype driven. A lot of NFTs, I would say, and this has kind of been the bane of my existence and a learning experience for me as well. The issue with NFTs are there a lot of scams, a lot of hype, no real utility. So ShopX is trying to change that. So we've differentiated from NFT, which is a non-fungible token. Most people buy NFTs, so like, okay, maybe it'll pump, who knows. ShopX, NFTs are e-NFTs, so they're NFTs with e-commerce utility. The value from the NFT doesn't come from like a potential rise in price, although who knows what happens, but it comes with the e-commerce benefit that comes with the NFT. So give
me an example.
Cool. So Project A, they have NFT, they launch NFT, they launch their NFT. They're early adopters. They get the NFT early. They do stuff behind the scenes to make the NFT price rise, skyrocket. They push marketing. Influencers get on board. They start pushing it to all their audiences. And then VCs or influencers sell their NFTs using their audience as exit liquidity with ShopX. So for example, let's use one of our clients is Fox's new show, Krapopolis. So same creators as Rick and Morty. If you own a Crap Chicken NFT, you get special benefits for holding that NFT. So you get to vote on stuff on the show, you get merch, you get exclusive content because you own the NFT and it's programmed into the NFT. So while there is a price for the Crap Chicken NFT, and let's say the show does become huge and successful, the NFT theoretically should go up in value, but who knows? You're getting real world benefits right now. And another client we had was the Mag Park. They sell limited edition hats. Their issue was, and they're smaller, so I like to use them. Their issue was they would launch a hat collection. They'd be like 500 to 1,000. Bots would come up and swoop up their inventory in less than a second. They'd resell the hats on the secondary market for over 10x the profit. The brand doesn't make any money. The customer and their type of store, it's like a mom and pop type shop where like the guy's a homie in LA. He has like a basketball court in his store. He's like an LA guy. The customers come in, they're like younger. They play basketball. It's really chill. So like the good customer doesn't get the product. So he launched his NFT collection, and now his NFT holders get early access to his products before everyone else, ensuring they have a place in line for the product. On top of that, he created a community around the NFT. So he has a Discord channel where there's specific channels only NFT holders get access to. And he's really active in those channels, like getting feedback. They're helping him design hats and a bunch of other things.
So it's basically like a club, and please don't, this is just trying to break it way down for people. It's these NFTs are being sold as like a token to get into any club or and I'm just as an example for like them, I have this, I can now go and purchase the hat before anybody else. I can also help out on different things. It's another form of way of getting in is what they're using it for. So we could do the same thing for if I was doing a mastermind, I could sell an NFT, and that's, you get access to the mastermind, you get access for other stuff, but it's not something that potentially could go up in value like what people were pushing a couple years ago.
You're
exactly. Am I hearing that right?
Oh, you're 100% correct. I just think of NFTs as like Web3 access passes.
Most people go, what? Web3 what? You know, not everybody can talk like we do. So I'm trying to, you know, and please don't take this wrong, people listening, dumb it down to make it easier for people. Web3 is like the original web, right? But more.
Yeah. So
the way it's centric. It's just the way you have access to stuff. Am I correct?
Yes, I would think of Web3 as the internet as it is now, except with ownership and access. So in Web 1, it's like read only, so you can just read stuff online. Web 2 is read and write, so you could read content. Think of like Instagram or Facebook, any social media platform. Like you can read content, you can read other people's content, you can scroll their posts. You can also write your own content. Unfortunately, Instagram and Facebook, they own the content, so they make the money off of you, and they can cancel you whenever they want, which is going to be a recurring problem. Web 3 is read, write, and own. So in Web 3, all of us can read or write our content, but we also own the content. So Ed, in your example, if you were to create that masterclass, you create an NFT loyalty system, giving me like, I personally, like, because I own the NFT, I get access to your classes or exclusive content or really whatever you decide. No one can cancel that NFT. And on top of that, let's say hypothetically 10 years down the line, your masterclass is crushing it. I'm one of the early adopters of your masterclass, and I have proof in the form of the NFT. You're like, okay, you're one of my OG members. Now there's a connection between me and you, and you can airdrop me benefits like extra classes just for supporting you early on.
So it's like other people who are, there's a mastermind that just started called Driven. It's a marketing one, and they were selling, if you sign up now before the end of the year, you'll have founder on your thing. So basically they're doing the same thing, but not as an NFT. But I get what you're saying. So it's another way. I think the NFT just got such a bad name. I wish they'd change it to something else, just so that people would not consider it the same as what people were doing. Because when people were selling these NFTs and saying we're going to make so much money, it was always the early adopters who got in and then sold it, made all the money. It's not the people who came afterwards. And to me, it's like the old stock market where people would call you on the phone, which they don't do today, and say, I have a stock that's going through the roof. You need to buy and get in now. And that's what they were doing with the NFT, and it just made it all bad.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And then when I'm talking to a Web2 brand, I usually just use the term pass or access pass because of the negative connotation around NFTs.
Right. And that's it. And that's, for most people, would totally understand what you're talking about. It's like having a ski path, right? Going, I now have access to the whole place to play and do what I want. And if I pay a certain amount, or I've been here early on, I have more access to other things that other people don't.
Oh yeah, dude, you're exactly right.
I'm just trying to explain it so people get it, because I think people are just like, they hear NFT and they turn right off.
No, and honestly, that's understandable. And same with the negative connotation around NFTs. I think the negative connotation, based on the way the market reacted, based on the players doing what you mentioned, I think it rightfully deserves that negative connotation. And it's up to companies like ShopX and other companies to provide reasons for people to want to use NFT. So for example, in the Mag Park, over 50% of the users who purchased the Mag Park NFT, and their NFT was 0.75 ETH, so it was around $1,000 for like young 20-year-olds to purchase hats. So it wasn't exactly cheap. Over 50% of the users were 100% brand new to crypto, but they wanted the e-commerce benefits that came with that pass. So they learned the technology, they bought their NFT, and now they're happy. And I think it's important to note, I think for Web3 and NFTs to be successful long-term, I think we'll get there eventually, but people have to be using them without even knowing they're using them. Like,
I'd say in about a year, it'll be different, because one of the problems I had with it is some people who were doing masterminds in my group were like, okay, you buy my NFT for this amount of money, you have access to this, and you get this and this, but their NFT is worthless today, right? What did I get for that NFT? Because I know the people who bought it, they didn't get anything else after, right? They were not the original OGs, or they're not the original founder, whatever you want. They're not the original, they were, but they're not giving them any benefits. And that was my issue with the way they were doing, because I knew a lot of people with masterminds who were doing that. If they would have thought about it better, I guess not the word I was looking for, but what's came out, the way you said, it's a pass to get you more access to more stuff as early adopters. And then now our next adopters, you get this NFT, and this gives you this. And that's what so basically, like you said, changing the name to a pass or whatever, just makes it easier for people to understand.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say that's more on the brand side, or in your case, the masterminds class, in my case, the brand side. It's on them to add continuous passes benefits to the pass. So for both Fox and Mag Park, if you own the passes, if you own the NFTs for either collection, you get continuous benefits. But it's not uncommon for brands to launch an NFT for a specific product and disclaim, like saying, okay, once you buy this pass, it's one and done, and then you redeem that, and then you're good to go. So like in that case, it wouldn't have to be continuous benefits, but they're also being upfront about it too. They're not saying, hey, buy this pass for future values. Like, no, buy this pass, you get access to this one product. And that way on the brand side, they know exactly how much product to make. They create exclusivity. They usually sell out. So it's really good for everyone.
And everybody uses crypto to pay for these passes, right?
So for ShopX, we're a Web3 company, and I do believe in the ethos of crypto. So you have as a customer, you have the option to purchase the NFT with Ethereum. But we've also integrated Crossman. So if you don't want to pay with crypto, you can just pay with your credit card. What's happening on the back end is you as a customer are technically purchasing Ethereum with your credit card, and the brand is getting that. But all you see is you're purchasing something with your credit card. So it goes back.
I was going to say, it's like being in another country and you're using your credit card to pay in their currency, but really it's all being done back at where you don't even know.
Yeah, no, that analogy is perfect.
Yeah, I go to other countries a lot, so it's like, and I always buy the currency before I go there, because not always is it cheaper at the ATMs for the currency that's there or at the exchanges. Sometimes it's so much easier just to go to your bank and get the current currency. So
yeah, you're usually right.
We found that out from going to different places so many times. So. Yeah. All right, so now I totally understand NFTs and what you're doing with that, because the way you're as bad as you're just getting it all out there, right? And all right, so what is the new thing, the other thing that you're doing as the growth officer?
Yeah, so dating is the first ever AI powered matchmaker. So if you're single, you're in the dating game, you're on dating apps. The main issue with dating apps is 5% of the users get all of the access, and it's only based on physical looks, really. And on top of that, the incentives for dating apps are currently misaligned. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're Tinder, you match a happy couple. That's great for the couple. They're happy. Hopefully they get off the app. You actually Tinder then loses a paying customer. So for Tinder to make their money, they have to keep people coming back. And this is what we call churn marketing. So dating kind of solves that. And dating is the first ever AI-powered matchmaker that I mentioned. And to put it simply, what we do is you as a user, you link your social media accounts like your Spotify, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, whatever you want. And then we auto-generate a profile for you based on your digital footprint. And then on the back end, we match you with someone who has a similar digital footprint with the hopes that you guys get along. So for example, my name is Eric. I'm a user. I get my 3 matches for the day: Ashley, Kimberly, Jane. I get a small bio about each of them. Like, Jane is into national parks. She's physically fit. She's close to their family. I'm like, okay, Jane seems interesting. Tell me more about Jane. And like, okay, you guys both went to Ford University, both studied business. You're both the eldest of your sibling class. Would you like to meet Jane? And then it can take it one step further. Like, okay, on your Spotify accounts, 25% of your listens are both from this specific R&B artist. Did you know this R&B artist has a concert coming up in the next month? Would you like me to ask Jane if she would like to go? And then it can take it from there. And let's say down the line, me and Jane, we form a happy relationship. Because the app put us in a position to succeed, it can function as a butler from there. So like, our relationship with the user won't stop once they go on the date. So like, Jane and I get married 10 years down the line. We have 2 kids. We're super busy because obviously we have 2 kids. It'd be like, hey, did you know your favorite restaurant, the place you went to your third date, they have a special on this food. I think it's a good time for a date night. Or, oh, they're playing live music here. You might want to check it out. Or, oh, that R&B artist you went on your first date, he's coming back for his reunion tour. Go check it out. So that type of thing.
Now, all right, so it's going to stay in contact with you now. And when you're talking about what you're talking about, first thing I thought of is another social media, but with AI. But do you do any? You don't do any posting or anything on this. That the AI does everything is what I'm hearing.
Correct. So it takes away the hassle of creating an AI profile, and we pull data cards from your social media so other users can see your recent posts from your different social media platforms.
And so why would I want to continue on after you hook me up and I've been married, but we don't need you anymore, so we're canceling? Why would I want to stay on?
Well, that's totally up to you.
I know. I'm just because you said why you would and how you would keep telling them about concerts and other stuff, and I'm just trying to understand why somebody would. And please don't take that wrong. I'm trying to understand.
No, I don't take anything the wrong way. But yeah, if you wanted to help someone plan your dates, it has all the chat functionality of normal AI. So us as let's say we're both like you're a married couple, you're like, okay, we met on the app, great, but we kind of want to get off. Then it could do stuff like, hey, plan a date at this restaurant, set this up. What would you recommend we do based on our digital footprints? Okay, well, we both went on this hike. We liked this hike recently. What would you recommend we do based on that? Oh, surprise us. So you can mess around with the chat feature. And of course, it has all the normal AI capabilities like, hey, what's the weather like going to be for this hike? Oh, is this recommended? Show me reviews for all that.
Gotcha. Or it could recommend, hey, you guys, you're married, but you need to get out. Here's a, you need to like hike and take your kids and get out. Here's the thing to go to.
Yeah, right? It's like you guys haven't moved. You guys haven't left the house in 2 months. Get out of the house right now. We'll call you a babysitter.
Yeah, my biggest problem is I work from home a lot more than I have ever, just because I moved my studio home because I was doing so many podcasts earlier. There's some days I don't even leave, and I'm like, I don't know how I deal with it, but I do. So
it is what it is.
Well, it's just how, I mean, I get in here in the morning. Next thing I know, it's 5 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. We got to get out of here.
So. And dating can be a gentle reminder that you may have a date coming up with your lovely wife.
Right. And I think one of the things that we forget, we get so busy and we don't make that time for each of us. And that's why there's a huge, in January is divorce month. I don't know if you know that. So you might want to put that in your app, in your thing to help them. Yeah. January is divorce month. So
well, that's good to know. And dating long term too, I think relationships are extremely important for a happy lifestyle. So it doesn't have to stop at dating. So it can match you with potential friends. Like, for example, I could go on the app and say, hypothetically, find me 5 guys who are into Muay Thai, who like to hike, who maybe want to grab a beer at this place, and then he'll theoretically get spit out the matches from there and help plan that. So there is a whole community building aspect that it can do. But right now, we're just focused on the dating app, just because I would say 95% of people aren't happy with where they're at dating. So that's an easy way to get market penetration.
No, I think it's a great idea. I mean, the opportunities that we have today are so much better than we've ever had. And people, and they're so much easier to start companies now than we've ever done. And the problem I think most people run into, there's just so much, they just get paralysis by over analyzing things. So it's great that fixes it for them, where you go do everything for them. They don't have to, hey, write my profile for me, will you? And then it's not them. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, no, the formula is usually keep it simple.
All right. Going through creating, so these companies are companies you've created recently or over the few years, and you've learned from other mistakes in your life. What would you say the number one failure that you did looking back that has changed you drastically?
In terms of business, the number one failure I've done was with the previous startup. Is we took money from, like, imagine this, you're a startup, you haven't got paid for a while. It's like, okay, we have to find capital. You start a fundraising round, which can be low-key rather annoying. And then someone finally offers, like, okay, you have a good idea. We would like to invest in your company. They write you a certain amount of check for a certain amount of equity. And most people would take that money because they haven't made money in a while, and B, they're excited that someone actually wants to invest in them. But what happens a lot of times is an investor or the startup should be a partnership, and we end up taking money from the wrong people. So we got funded. They had a large portion of equity, but they had a different vision for the company than we did. So this resulted in a bunch of tension. So they're like, okay, you should do the X, you should do X, Y, and Z. And we're like, no, that's not going to work. We want to do X or A, B, and C. But they're like, okay, well, we also funded your money. We don't want to hit this KPI, and we'll introduce you to our investor network. And we're like, well, this KPI doesn't help with the core vision of the company. So we learn not to take money from the wrong places. We learned that the investor startup relationship truly is a partnership, and you have to be aligned from the beginning.
So watch out for different VCs is what you're saying?
Always watch out for VCs. There are some good ones, but in generality, you just got to watch out for VCs.
I'm close to San Francisco, dude. I know all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I've been involved with a few of them. And of course, with everything, only a small percentage stays around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because they run out of money. They tell everybody spend the money like you need it, and then they go, "Oh, we can't fund you anymore."
Yeah, it's like growth. Okay, I'm running out of money. Let's raise our next round. Yeah. Crickets.
Yeah, we don't want to dilute the shares.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and that's too bad. But at least you learned that. So this time around, it's like, unless you're a partner, you're not going to take any money, and I'm sure you've taken less money this times around, right?
Yeah, so we try to keep as much things as in-house and self-fund whenever we can. And the investors we do have, our screening process is much better now. In a sense, we'll talk with them, we'll talk with their teams, we'll talk about their intentions, rather than just take money from one of the first firms that offer it.
Now the dating app, right? Because it's like data. So it's DATAING.
Correct.
Okay. And is that fully out there for everybody right now?
It's going to be out February 14th.
Okay. Send me the information when it's going to launch, because this will launch before then. No, February. What are we? It'll be right around there or right after. So.
Yeah, so we're just wrapping up final QA testing and just getting it polished and finalized. We were going to launch earlier, but we are blessed to have a good advisor who's very well connected come in and kind of help us out with the funding aspect. So now we didn't have to push to get users to get the funding. That's already preset.
Well, and 14th not the bad day to start.
Oh yeah, no, we could have launched we could probably launch within 2 weeks, but it's like, okay,
Valentine's Day, dude.
Yeah, might as well wait for Valentine's Day. Yeah. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, I that's like years ago. I was helping some people create a ride, because I do a lot of cycling. I don't look like it right now, but I do. And it was called Ride for Mom. And they were like, we don't know when to do it. I'm like, day before Mother's Day. How hard is that? I mean, that everybody will do it if it's day before Mother's Day. Are you sure? Oh, yeah. It was one of the most successful rides that went on for years and years and years. And it's like, okay, you want to connect it to something. And that's and good thing that it's perfect, because that would be perfect to date that, send that out at that time, because people are going, I have nobody. I need to find somebody.
Yeah, and it's even better because the AI artificial whatever mascot. Well, she's gonna become a thing. She's actually getting really smart. But its name is Cupid, which is perfect for Valentine's Day. And if you play Halo at all, she's loosely based off of Cortana.
Okay, that was my son. I didn't play Halo.
Okay.
Yeah, I was more of the Descent kind of guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's because I've been playing games forever. So. All right. Well, wow. So February it's coming out, and so where will people see it? Just we'll promote it anywhere that we would know. Like is it going to be?
Yeah. So we're gonna do a social push. We'll do all the normal email marketing. So our intention is to do a massive social push on TikTok. So work with a influencer house, work with a group of influencers, give them a frame for content, and then they all push the same type of content at the same time. I'm personally excited about running Reddit ads, and just because it's so customizable with our product demos. So, for example, let's say hypothetically we're targeting UCLA or USC, you can create a custom chat connecting Trojans or connecting UCLA people, and you could do that. We could do that for literally every community, every community in existence. So we'll be all over, and then from there we're going to set up an ambassador program where you join the list, you're happy dating user. Here, you get a shareable link if you want to get your friends involved. We can pay you per user too. So that's all going to be set up, and hopefully it catches up. No, it'll catch like wildfire.
No, it's going to take off because everybody loves affiliate. But I think the most important thing is if it works well, people are going to use it. Just so you know, my son and his wife found each other on Tinder, which I was shocked.
Oh yeah. He's one of the lucky few.
Yeah, very few.
Yeah.
I think it was because he was up in Alaska and she was down here in Hollister.
Okay.
And so then when he would come down, they would connect, and then finally, they're perfect. It's amazing but I think your AI will do much better, especially as she keeps learning, to what connects people even more. And that's, and people don't realize AI has been around since the 70s, but it's just now really taken off for everybody to be able to use it.
So. Yeah. And I think dating is I think it's probably one of the best use cases to get the masses involved with AI. And like you said, the longer you're on the app, the more likely you get a match. So for example, it's like some people like opposites, some people like the same, some people like everything in between. Everyone's individual. So usually it's going to start off matching people who are similar to you. But let's say I keep saying no to people similar to me, it's going to try something else. It'll try showing me an opposite. And then it could be like, okay, the opposite worked. You got on the first date, you got on the second date, but you keep striking out on the second date. And then it can offer suggestions and tips on how to go from the second date to the third date. So it really is going to be like long-term, it's going to be a relationship coach, a matchmaker, a butler. It's going to be a lot of stuff. And it's sticky. It's fun to use. It's going to be the first app in VR as well. So you have the option to do a FaceTime call or VR. So that's cool.
So I have another question. So it looks at your social media, all social media, including even Facebook.
Whatever you want to connect.
The reason I'm saying that is you understand that you normally marry one of your caregivers. I don't know if you heard that statement. So usually somebody in your family, you marry either your father or your mother in the person you have. So if your AI could go back up the tree, find out what their mom or dad is, and be able to help with figuring out who's perfect for them.
Oh,
that's okay. Just send me a referral for that one. All right.
Yeah. I love that idea and that makes perfect sense because from a kid, you're very impressional. Your mom and your dad obviously play a large part of your life. So yeah, Facebook.
And that's why I said Facebook, because everybody's connected through family. This is my mom. This is, some people put that as family on there. Not other social medias do that. So it would be one way just to go, let's try this out with these group of people and see if this works.
Yeah, no, that'd be a fun test. And because with our AI, you can do stuff like it can read your Instagram photos. So like it doesn't just go off the description. It can actually read the photos. Like let's say you're in a national forest. You don't need a caption to know it's in a national forest. And you can also upload photos like, okay, show me your favorite celebrity crush or something like that. Upload the photo and can match you people similar based on that. So it can, and we can do that with a family. So theoretically, you can show people who are like similar to your dad or your mom in terms of hobby or personality or even looks.
Well, it's more not the look so much, but the person the whole, And it's amazing how that works. Check it out with a bunch of people and just see.
Oh
yeah. Because I've heard that for years and I always thought they're full of shit. And I'm in my best relationship yet. And I'm like, fuck, it's my mom.
Well, it's because moms are forever the goat.
I know, but it's like, if I told her that, she'd be pissed because she didn't get along with her. Anyway, because the birds of a feather, don't always flock together because they don't like each other.
Well, that type of bird, they flock together. It's like a different way of flocking together.
That's right. Yeah. They fight. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. All right, Eric. Nice having you on today. Is there anything else you want to add before we go?
No, honestly, my intention for this is to spread as much positivity as possible and be helpful in any way. So if any of your listeners want to reach out to like either Instagram or DM and just chat, AI, Web3, or anything, I'm happy to help in any way I can.
What's the best way to find you?
So company websites, ShopX is shopx.co. Dating is dating.io. And my personal Instagram is Eric D. McHugh. So all three of those are good ways to reach out.
All right. Well, reach out to them if you have any questions or want to just connect. And again, the dating app goes live on February 14th. And let me know how it goes. I mean, I'm invested just because I think it's a great idea. I wish we had this stuff. I mean, we can't have everything in the past, but going forward is going to make it so much easier for people to connect. And that's what everything we've done to this point has done through social media. Everything we do, we can connect so much more with people. Podcasting, you're in LA, I'm up here in Northern California, but I've been on podcasts in Spain and other places. So it's just amazing how much we can connect today.
Yeah, and like I'm in LA, you're in Northern California, but your listeners are God knows where. So.
Yeah, all over the world.
Yeah,
and it's amazing where we're going. Amazing and scary at the same time. All right, Eric, go ahead. You had something else?
Oh, so I think it's gonna be fun.
It is, but you have both sides. You never know. All right. So, Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it. And please reach out to him. Let him know you heard him on Inner Edits and Podcasts. And thanks again, Eric.
Thank you.